Hello, beautiful hearts. I wanted to speak to you today about what's arising in me. And what's arising in me is actually about conscious leadership. Leadership that is based on the heart and nourishment and a greater wisdom, or a elder wisdom, wisdom from a higher perspective. So when I think of leadership, I come back to the mother. The mother is what I know, and I see parents are the leaders within their household. And if a parent has a wounded child in the driver's seat parenting their child, it creates dysfunction in the house. It creates it can create trauma that gets passed down from generation to generation, intergenerational trauma of unhealed wounds. When a mother, and I speak to mothers because that's what I know, goes through a rites of passage into motherhood in a conscious way. Now that can happen anytime. It can happen when your kids are 20. It can happen when your kids are little, whatever. But when we go down to those parts of ourselves, that painful parts of our inner child, and we all have it. We all have a wounding, because that's what we need to do. We all come into a wounding that we need to heal to take us to our next place of wholeness. So no one comes into this world without a kind of wounding that happens in their childhood. And so when we can come to that and look at our inner child wounding and to nourish that wound and to tend to it, we recognize and we develop a sense of like a pattern recognition. And so we see when our wounded child is at the driver's seat, and by what we speak and our behaviors, and the more that we recognize it, the more that we're able to take a sidestep and to just witness. And the quicker the more we do this, the easier and the quicker that we pick up that wounded child in the driver's seat. And then we can go, oh, okay, what do I need to do? What tools do I have to attend to that inner child? So what it looks like when a parent has not attended to that inner child wound is chaos. It's and I speak from experience here that when a wounded child is in a mother in driver's seat, that there's projection and anger, and and I'm not saying that they it may rise even if you've done that inner work. That's a part of that growth and development. But it's the catching and the witness. And with a wounded mother in the helm driver's seat, there comes a moment we can just go, oh my goodness, and just look around and see this trail of destruction around us. But if you see it, that's a clue that you're on your way to developing that witness perspective. So what I'm seeing at the moment in the collective actually is this, and I speak of the political leadership that we're seeing at the moment, and what I see is adults who have an inner child in the driver's seat. So classic signs is tantrum, the needing to control and dominate, the disregard of other people's sovereignty. Because, as a mother, we watch our children grow up, and we have to at some point trust their decision making and to hold them, our children, in love and reverence, regardless of what they choose, whether they choose a school that you didn't think that you would, or make a decision, whatever. It's like that, trusting the process of those who we are, holding space for. And I don't see that in our leadership, which is feels like a real big fucking problem, actually. Especially those who are in a position of power over others and who are making decisions based on a wounded version of themselves and not from a higher perspective or an eldership point. So Dr. Bill Plockton, who is a psychologist in America who specializes in conscious initiation and rites of passage, and there's many others around the world, talk about, the need to go through this initiation process to bring up our woundings so we can attend to them and let go to those depths. And one of his quotes is saying we need to learn how to swim in our own depths so we know how to swim away from the shallows, so we can make decisions that are based on this wider, expansive point of knowledge, instead of coming from that, immature aspect of ourselves. And that is when we do that, we step into eldership, real eldership, and, we can have 50-year-olds or 60-year-olds who look like elders, but in fact they have this wounded child in the driver's seat. Another part of being a leader is and I'm thinking again of a mother, when you realize that, oh my goodness, I've just fucked up here, or I've just allowed my inner child to control and, spew or shit all over my children. I don't mean that literally, like verbal projection, for example. And then I think a part of that eldership is to realize that, or the leadership, the conscious leadership, to realize when you do it and to come in with the way of, okay, how can I hold this space here now? Seems I've just projected my wounding, my inner wounding, my child wounding on my own child. So what do I need to do now? And I think that's a part of it. So admitting that that you're wrong, and and then the recovery is how do I hold space here for both of us? How do I hold space for my inner child and my own child that I've just projected that wounding on? And I'm wondering at what point, if ever, that is going to happen for our political leaders, whether at some point they're just going to go have this awakening and just go, oh my goodness, I'm projecting my woundedness, the need to control and dominate on others. I don't know, maybe it's gone too far for them and it's too big for that to happen, and it feels like a point of self-destruction or some kind of destruction that happens with them then if they ever get to that. I don't know. But what my call is here today is to do your inner work. This is big times, and I'm feeling the wobbles. So when we feel the wobbles, to know what tools we have and to go and investigate those wobbles, to say, okay, what part of me is rising up here that needs attending to? How can I ground myself in to, put my roots into the ground and to connect to the deeper wisdom that's all around us through nature, because that's a part of it. The becoming conscious leader is to see yourself not as separate as others, but as one with others, as if not just others, but everything. That's a part of that conscious leadership, because we're not separate at all. And so other person's pain is something, our own pain, and when we open ourselves up, we certainly feel that. And how do you discern? How do you see yourself as one with everything, and make decisions based on that? And again, talking about a mother seeing herself as one with her child and not separate. And so when that projection comes, that is also a part of your, the mother's projection, and the child's now hurt. And how do we come in together to wrap ourselves up together and to reweave a new tapestry or a new story within the greater story that is. I hope this makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling a bit, but I just wanted to bring into awareness what conscious leadership looks like, and and to say, if you're feeling that, do the inner work, do the rites of passage consciously, and to let go. There's so many stories and myths out there to guide us through, and Inanna is one of them. To let go and shed, to go into the underworld, to release and surrender all that no longer serves, and be surrendered into the oneness of all. And I think this is what we're being called to do, is to surrender into the oneness of all, and then we can come back and create something new. But we have to let go of our wounded selves, the wounded part of ourselves, and to nurture and to hold ourselves, and to know that we are one with everything. And when we do that, we can make good, grounded decisions about what to do next. Because we're connected. We're connected to the wisdom of all, the universal, multi-universal galactic earth connection. Yeah. Well, these are my words. I love you all, and stay well and grounded, and to know that this is a phase that we're moving through, and go deep. Use this time and go deep, because that is what we're needing to do, and to vision what does a conscious leadership look like, and to call that in. On behalf of the great grandchildren and in service to love, thank you for listening.